Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Menachem Creditor. It's my honor to serve as scholar in residence and rabbi for UJA Federation of New York. We bring you Torah and music, blessing, and community every weekday. We've been doing so since March 18th, 2020. Today it is Monday, June 8th, 2026. A new week of learning Torah together, of finding friends from all over the world just to say good morning, to lift each other up, to know that we'll be there when we reach out. Jacqueline, good to see you. Penny, thanks. It's broadcast 1564. Thanks for that. Kathleen, it's good to see you. Let's see who else is here. We can say a few more good mornings, and then we'll get started singing a blessing for learning, and we'll get our day started. Lydia and Arlene, Rosa, Boker Tov, good to see all of you. Hope that you are well. Scott, nice to see you too. Okay, here we go. Patricia and Cecile, Boker Tov, friends. Nice to see you. Arlene, Jerry's in your home, see? Now you're gonna have to post a comment at the same time. Stan, nice to see you. Haley and Cynthia, Barry and Eileen, Yoram, Boker Tov. Oh, Jerry, there you are. Debbie, good to see you too. Hi, John. Natalie, today is your sweetheart Ken's birthday. Happy birthday to him. Hi, Carl. Good morning, everybody. It's good to see all of you. And let me scroll up just to see Arlene. You wrote that your husband and son had to go to the shelter in Israel 3 times last night. My son is also in Israel and Tel Aviv. He had to run to a shelter 3 times last night. Our hearts, our minds, our prayers, and our work are with our sisters and brothers in Israel, as it always has been, and certainly has been in the last 3 years. This is a very complicated and ongoing stretch of time where the kind of disruption to life and the loss of life is so significant. We can't lessen our pointing to it, our focus on it, and especially when we have family members who are there, which we always do because it's our family who is there, we pay close attention. And so I ask you to hold in your hearts our sisters and brothers. And this is actually a great parsha with which to do that kind of focusing. Parshat Shlach Lecha, this week's Torah portion, includes the 3rd paragraph of the Shema. If you've ever said the Shema and you followed along in a traditional prayer book or Siddur, there are 3 sections. The first paragraph of the Shema starts with the word Ve'ahavta, and you should love the Lord your God. The second paragraph, Ve'haya, is, and what happens when we listen and what happens when we don't. It's a very powerful way of learning the biblical notion of consequence and reward. But the third paragraph of the Shema, the one that's in this week's Torah portion, starts with the words Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor, and God spoke to Moshe, saying, Tzav Epnei Israel v'amarta alehem v'asu lehem tzitzit. Command the people Israel regarding tzitzit, the fringes on the corners of our garments. And it's a beautiful section of Torah. And some of us have the tradition, when we get to that third paragraph, of having wrapped the tzitziot, the fringes around our finger, and when we say the word tzitzit, we give a kiss. This beautiful tradition. Not everyone does it. Some of us have the additional tradition with the tzitzit still wrapped. After the three mentions of tzitzit, when we say the verse, Ur item otoz chartem, and when you see it, you will remember. So that comes to signify, we believe, that with a number of strings and the way that they're wrapped and tied, you add up those numbers and you end up with 613. When you look at the tzitzit, you remember the number 613, which is the number of mitzvot, the number of commandments. It's a very sweet way of counting. But some of us have the tradition of when we say uritem oto, when you see them, uz chartem, you'll remember. Say uritem oto uz chartem. And there's a way of understanding this. When you see it, you'll remember, but if you pay attention just to the physical reality, uritem oto, and you will see them, interestingly enough, in order to do that, my eyes are closed. And there is an important element for us to internalize with this, which is to say, sometimes we need to close our eyes in order to see a world that is pervaded by this love, the notion of Shema. To love God with all our hearts, our souls, our mights, to understand that there are consequences to our actions, and then in that third paragraph, to remember the exodus from Egypt and the way that we are in this is we surround our bodies with the commandments, we wrap them around our fingers, and we make sure that the experience of them is an experience of love. And sometimes in order to imagine that world, we have to close our eyes, which is why that last part, that last tradition of Uritem Otos Chartem, to see them and remember, it's actually because of the ritual of closing my eyes and offering a kiss that I then open my eyes and see a world that might have just a little bit more element of joy and of love. As Linda is sharing, Ve'ahavta is also, this section of Torah is in the mezuzah, in our doorways. And so we think about this love on the way in and the way out into the world. And as John is writing, we're not a people who need to see with our eyes in order to believe. Sometimes we close our eyes. And in the Mishnah, this is in Pirkei Avot, it says, who is blessed? Who is truly blessed? Haro'eh et hanolad. Someone who sees that which will be born. That doesn't mean prophetic insight. I know the future. It means I have a vision for the world, the way it could be. And as Dr. Gershom Shalom, who is the founder of the academic study of Kabbalah, said, a mystic is someone who has a vision of the world as it could be, as it ought to be, is in pain because the world is so woefully far from that, but commits themselves to bringing reality just a little bit closer to the way it could be. And this is one of my favorite quotes, Rosa, thank you. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry says, it is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye. It's from The Little Prince, one of my favorite quotes. Thank you for that. So friends, I invite you just before we sing Hatikva, and we send our hearts all the way to the east, to our sisters and brothers who had to run for shelter 3 times during the night last night. Just before we do that, let's close our eyes. Uritem otos chartem. And when we see in this way, we can remember. So I ask you, what is it you see? What elements of the world are you focusing on that could be better? Because of course they could. And reminding ourselves what that would look like is a way of remembering that now, once we open our eyes, we could be a part of that great work of rebuilding. Let's send our hearts to the east. Kol baleva pnima nefesh Yehudi homia ulefate mizrach kadima ayin letzion tzofia od lo avda tikvateinu התקווה בת שנות 2000 להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון וירושלים להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון וירושלים. Am Yisrael Chai. See you tomorrow, my friends.